Good afternoon, everyone, and greetings from Prevention Action Alliance in Columbus, Ohio. My name is Brittany Sandage, and I'm the Director of Coalition Programs here at Prevention Action Alliance. And with me today is Fran Gerbig, our Assistant Director. Before we roll into a couple of the particulars about today's webinar to discuss our funding opportunities, I want to draw your attention to a few housekeeping items for the flow of the day. You are able to submit questions at any time in your question box. We are going to hold questions and answer them in bulk after each one of the grant opportunities are presented. So keep them coming. We will be monitoring them and we will get to all of your questions, but I wanted to provide that just as a little bit of flow. If you are having any audio difficulty, I would recommend that you call by phone as opposed to your computer speaker system. And then for anyone who is interested in sharing this broadcast later, we are recording it and we will be sharing that after the call ends today via email so that everyone will have a chance to review the notes, review the discussion. All right. So without any further ado, I want to move into a little bit of the historical perspective of where this funding is coming out of. We are very fortunate to have support from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services for the funding opportunities we're going to discuss today. The way that these are currently organized, all of the grant opportunities that we're going to discuss are coming from a coalition lens. We are looking at these as community enhancement funds, community project support funds. Here at Prevention Action Alliance, we have a few different ways in which we try to support community coalition work or coalition-driven efforts. Of course, many of you are familiar with SPECA, the Statewide Prevention Coalition Association. We also have advocacy webinars and legislative updates that go out, and we have additional networks that serve our youth-led prevention, adult allies group, as well as our grieving families and support networks through the GAP network. So if any of you are curious about your focus fit today, if those are coming up throughout the call, please make sure you kind of jot those down. Reach back out to us at the end of the day, and we can certainly put you in contact with additional resources that may be a better fit for your project area. So I do want to address that in addition to the funds we're talking about today, this does not replace the Push for Prevention community stipends. Those, again, will still be available in spring of 2018. We're going to have a December announcement, and the due date will be in January, the day after the SPECA meeting. So I want to put that on everyone's radar so that you are aware that there are multiple opportunities. The scope and the requirements for the Push for Prevention grant are going to remain very similar to in the past. So you can depend on that and know that that is an additional opportunity that faces you. Right. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn this over to Fran Gerbig to introduce the idea of the Ohio MAT Awareness Project. Fran.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to be able to be here with you today and explain this really unique but timely opportunity for coalitions in the state of Ohio. And just to provide you with a little bit of historical reference, let me tell you how I first became involved with this project. So early in 2017, when I was still working as a coalition leader in Stark County, CADCA reached out to me to participate in the CADCA MAT project, which is different because certainly fell out of the scope of the Drug-Free Stark County Coalition's mission and objectives, but I was interested, and so Allison Esber and I traveled to New Orleans actually to participate in this training, and I was very happy to see that the Mansfield-UMADOP Coalition was also represented, so a shout out to Benjamin, and then Shemaine Marsh was also present from Ohio MOS. I will say that it was a very interesting experience, provided a really great overview as to the history of the opiate epidemic in the United States, and then helped me get a better idea of how coalitions could be part of the solution to the opiate epidemic. I will say that having conversations with my colleagues as we've gone through this process and after the fact, we have some mixed feelings, and I'll be very upfront with you. Do I think that community coalitions have the ability to increase the number of physicians who take advantage of MAT services and provide them in the community? Not so much. However, what coalitions do very well, and this is where I think our greatest impact is that we can change community understanding and perspective, provide the education and understanding, and we are great change agents when it comes to stigma around this particular disease. So that's why I think this opportunity is so very remarkable and so very unique. So fast forward to now. The state of Ohio has received money for prevention from the 21st Century Cures Grant. And I was very pleased when Molly Stone and Shemaine Marsh reached out to us to provide this CADCA MAT project specifically to coalitions in the state of Ohio. So that is the purpose of this particular grant. We are really to be change agents of stigma within our communities, provide evidence-based, factual information regarding the addiction process, and quite frankly, expand the understanding of the various recovery tools that are available to individuals and families in our communities. So that is truly the purpose. So who is eligible for this particular grant? We really are very hopeful that our SPECA members will take advantage of this. The conversations that I've had with our team at Ohio MOS is that we really want to see SPECA members apply for this particular monies. However, I also recognize that there are a lot of grassroots organizations who may not be SPECA members who are doing great work in the state, and so I certainly would encourage them to also apply. What is the particular scope? It is a very structured process. The process will be that the coalitions that are selected will work directly with CADCA trainers. You will be expected to develop some core competencies and capabilities regarding increasing awareness of MAT services in your community. You will have to work on a community assessment. You will need to work on developing capacity and strengthening the infrastructure within your coalition to take advantage of these resources, and then come up with a plan specifically to educate and inform key community leaders within your community. It is a $2,000 award per coalition. We do expect 2 coalition members to participate throughout the scope of the grant process. And the criteria for award is that you really must be attached to a 501c3 not-for-profit organization or a local government agency, a school, college, or community-based group. So deliverables, very specific deliverables. We do request that you participate in the MAT services assessment, which CADCA will provide you with that tool. You will develop your own particular logic model and intervention map based upon the data that you collect, as well as a strategic action plan. We are also requesting a brief report of activities that will be due to us by June 18th of 2018. And then we are also asking that award winners or grantees be present at the OPEC conference with a poster presentation. The timeline also is very structured. The project will start December 1st. There is a 1-day overview training with our CADCA trainers here in Columbus on December 12th. There is a 2-day coalition training academy here at Prevention Action Alliance, January 22nd and 23rd. We are asking you also to participate in the Spring Coalition Conference. This will be a time for you to have a touchstone with the trainers here. Again, it will be here in Columbus. And then the final activity report and key products are due by June 18th. Now, during this time, there will also be additional technical assistance provided by the CADCA trainers. So you will have additional phone conferences with the trainers. You will need to participate in their web-based, oh shoot, I just lost the word. They have, it's like a Dropbox, but it's for CADCA specifically. Oh, the workstation. I'm sorry, it came to me. Challenges, what can I say? But so you'll need those to be able to make sure that you have those capabilities to be able to have ongoing conversations with your CADCA trainers. Key considerations, we really need you to make sure that you are able to attend the mandatory trainings. There's no wiggle room here. We need you to participate on those days as specified. And your commitment to participate in the technical assistance with the CADCA trainers and to create the products as we've described.
Thank you very much, Fran. So for everyone who is considering the Ohio MAT awareness project. I think it is important to say that the structure and the guidance is really a great advantage in being able to get the work done. It's not going to come with a whole lot of gray area or uncertainty to it, and it's certainly an opportunity for us to look at the state of Ohio, look at the community readiness, and one, collect some great data, and two, do some really good work around stigma. As I'm moving into the coalition development initiative opportunities, I want to encourage everyone, again, kind of wait towards the end for some of the questions. I will do my best to respond to those as we go along today. A lot of the particulars for the coalition development opportunities are going to be found in the RFP as well as in the assurances. So I highly encourage you to download all potential documents that you would need and to kind of go through those. What I'd like to do today is give a little bit more insight into eligibility, into what we're looking for, and into how this can be a complement to your way of working in your region and in your community, which is what we're really here to try to support today. As far as eligibility concerns, these particular opportunities are intended for grassroots community coalitions. They certainly can be from the perspective of regional collaboration, partnerships with task forces, partnerships with other community advocacy groups. That is not a problem. However, we are looking for a coalition to play a key lead and key leadership opportunity and educational role in these opportunities. I'm going to go through each of them separately. So the first one that we're going to look at today is the $5,000 award. That is a single award, and its intent is to build upon some of the proven strategies that you have already in place in your community. This particular $5,000 opportunity can be regional. That's certainly a problem, but it's also open and available to a single applicant community, applicant neighborhoods, or a single county. It is not necessary for you to have regional coordination if that is not the appropriate fit for your environmental strategy. This $5,000 award is similar to PUSH4Prevention, but with a lot more muscle behind it. What we're looking to try to do with this opportunity is to give communities that are working around a substance abuse prevention mindset to be able to really put a lot more muscle to what they're doing, a little bit more resource support to what they're doing, and to have access to some training and support and promotional advantages here through Prevention Action Alliance and through the SPECA network. The $10,000 opportunity is really open to structure that is best fitting for your local area. The $10,000 opportunity is designed for mentoring and regional support in that we are looking for a primary lead coalition. It is mandatory that this coalition be a member of the Statewide Prevention Coalition Association. That is not the case with the Enhancing Environmental Strategies opportunity. But with the $10,000 opportunity, it is required. We want to see that the lead coalition as a part of this is connected to a network. We want to be able to see that they are going to have ongoing access to best practices, to innovation strategies, and to being able to promote the good work they're doing. A hope from the mentoring and regional collaboration opportunity is that we can see something working and borrow from it, help to spread the word, help to look at models that are working across the state of Ohio. So when it comes to that particular opportunity, we're going to talk a little bit about what kind of size, what kind of region it is we're talking about as we move. To reinforce this, both of these opportunities are intended to foster quality strategies. So if you are unsure of what some of those environmental prevention strategies are, if you're unsure of what coalition best practices might be that we're talking about today, I would encourage you to check out some of the resource links that we have in the RFP. Certainly, CADCA is an amazing resource. We here are willing and able to help connect you to additional resources that we have. But you can also find additional tools from each other or by emailing us about connecting with other, potentially interested coalitions in your region. Just to quickly sum up, what we're looking at, again, as a coalition lens, is we're looking at actionable plans. What we want to see come out of the mentoring and the regional collaboration opportunities are ways in which various groups are either learning from one another and becoming more sustainable and more structured and poised for greater success, or we want to see an opportunity taken to larger scale on a regional ability. Those are the two. It is noted in the RFP that the primary focus of these grants must be substance abuse prevention oriented. However, if in your regional work, one of those partnerships are suicide prevention coalitions, or they happen to be problem gambling coalitions, if some of your partnerships that are key to your success have varied areas, that is acceptable and should be described in your project narrative. It will certainly go a long way to helping us understand the robustness of your approach, and it will also help us understand a little bit more about the regional challenges that you might be facing. With regard to the scope and size of the mentoring and regional coordination, I want to make it clear you do not necessarily have to be both. You do not have to be a coalition seeking to mentor another as well as promoting large-scale multi-county, for example, regional coordination. However, we do expect to see that if you are creating a focus area around mentoring another coalition or multiple coalitions, as it may be, that you are poised to be able to support the activities you're proposing. So if you are looking to grow your mentoring reach across a single county with multiple neighborhood-based groups, that is fine. We want to be able to see that your staffing and volunteer support can support it. If you are looking to coordinate with other leads, for example, if you are two relatively strong coalitions looking to do more regional work, we do ask that a primary coalition be the primary applicant and that you describe that relationship both in the narrative as well as in the budget narrative. If we do receive multiple applications for a similar project, we will unfortunately not be able to fund them because we won't quite know where we're going with that. So I hope that provides a little bit of insight into whether you have to have one focus area or another. Deliverables for each grant opportunity. These can be found in the assurances that you download, but to just recap them briefly, we're asking for participation at a couple of the SPECA meetings, and we're asking for, most importantly, completion of a monthly activity checklist. That is going to be a single-page checklist that you will receive as a recipient of the grant opportunity that just goes through and details what type of work was done, what type of planning activities, whether any activities were implemented, and then it's going to combine a very short one-page narrative of activity for you to expound on successes, challenges, things that you're facing. This is intended to be a complement to your work, not create more paperwork so you can't get the work done at the local level. In terms of the mentoring and regional coordination opportunity, there are a couple more expectations on this particular opportunity. Most notably, you'll see that most of our dates and deadlines are similar. If you are looking at a mentor focus within this opportunity, it is expected that your mentee coalition be able to demonstrate at the end of the project period an acceptable progress around the key coalition products. So we're going to want to be able to know that your mentee coalition came away with understanding a community overview. We're going to want to see some evidence of a logic model that's appropriate. We're going to want to see action plans. We're going to want to see that this mentee coalition is well on their way to being sustainable, to being an active participant in the prevention landscape at your local level. If you are regional focus within this, what we're going to ask for, and we've just dictated in the RFP, is the necessity for at least 4 in-person coordination meetings. We're going to want to see evidence of your documented efforts. We're going to want to see where you're going, and we're certainly going to want to be able to support you and promote what it is that you walk away with. We are not putting a strict expectation of what your regional coordination needs to look like. We want that to be true and organic to the area in which you're working. However, this is going to be in a situation in which we want to see that if you have identified partners, we see them at the table regularly throughout this project period, and that it sets you up for greater support down the road. So, important stuff. How are you going to be looked at with all of these opportunities? What are some of the primary criteria for award? It should be no one's surprise. We're looking to see that you have experience. in this world, that you are a coalition that has been able to achieve community movement. We want to see that you have voices around the table, and we want to see that you have the ability to carry this forward. It's an exciting opportunity in which we can provide not only coalition-to-coalition mentoring, but hopefully we'll be able to provide a case study for other regions to look at and to modify from. So we need to be able to see some capacity in there. We also really are going to be looking at in your narrative, in your timeline, whether or not you have the ability to appropriately evaluate your progress. And so depending on the type of proposal you submit, if you are looking to increase engagement with certain sectors, if you are looking to implement or take to scale a larger initiative in a regional sense, we're going to look to see that you have the data tracking ability to do that, and or the access to key stakeholders in order to make it happen. So just keep some of those things in mind as you go forward. When it comes to any previous experience as a mentor, if you're looking at that focus, certainly documenting that experience, your successes and your challenges will be key. It is also important to note that if you are looking to serve as a mentor coalition, there is a section within the application where you will be asked to upload a letter of support. We want to see that the mentee or mentees coalitions are in support and they're in need of this service and the support that you're offering. So please keep that in mind and build that into your timeline for preparation. Okay. I won't spend too very long on these. I just wanted to give just a quick recap. Remember to look at what can be funded and cannot be funded. Certainly we'll take questions on it if necessary. As a general rule of thumb, understand that we are not looking to fund fundraisers. We are not looking to fund a very large community meal. We're not looking to fund some of those things. We recognize sometimes their importance, but that is not what these funds are intended for. They are intended to be capacity building. They're intended to take prevention further in the local community. If you have particular needs that are related to equipment, for example, to carry out an implementation plan, please make sure that you provide ample justification in your budget narrative for it if it is appropriate to the project. As a general rule of thumb, that is not something that we will allow. However, if you provide the necessity and you provide a justification, we will look at that and we will consider it in your project proposal. A couple of frequently asked questions we want to address today. If you apply for Ohio MAT, can you also apply for the Coalition Development Grant? Absolutely. But I do want to reinforce that you can only apply for one of these two coalition development grants, so either the $5,000 opportunity or the $10,000 opportunity. You cannot apply to both, even if you have two separate project focus areas. Second thing we wanted to address today, if you receive one of the coalition development grants, can you still apply for PUSH4Prevention in the spring? Answer is twofold. If you receive the mentoring or regional collaboration, you are still eligible to apply for PUSH4Prevention because the PUSH4Prevention is intended to be a very local, community-oriented funding opportunity. If you receive the Enhancing Environmental Prevention Grant, you are not eligible to apply for the PUSH4Prevention. If you apply and you don't receive it, certainly all rules off. You may apply to any future subsequent funding opportunities, but I wanted to make sure that we address that today. Everything will be submitted online, so I cannot, I want to make sure to enforce that. In the past, we have had situations with applications online of being incomplete. If you do not make it all the way through and see a confirmation page, it didn't work, guys, definitely resubmit. Make sure we know, because we want to be able to read your project proposals. Just very briefly, a couple of tips for moving through this. In the application link, you will be taken to a primary face page. All of the necessary documents that you will need are there and available for download. If you choose to use a different template for your budget or something of that nature, that is fine, but make sure that all of the relevant information that we have asked for in that budget template is also represented in your version. It will also be necessary for you to upload signed assurances, so please make sure you give yourself time to be able to get that together and approved. Because this application is an enter text field. I would recommend that you build everything into a Word document and then go through and you paste when you're ready to go. It will make it simpler for you. It will make sure that you don't lose any of your necessary work. In both of the opportunities in front of you guys today, you have character limits as well as the narrative prompts so that you can work ahead and you can be proactive in looking at what it is we're looking for, and also in figuring out if you need to be a little bit briefer in your response. I would also suggest, we've seen better success with this, that you use PDF format. So in your budget narrative, if you have a supplemental letter of support from a possible mentee coalition, save those in PDF form and upload them in that way. It prevents us from having any sort of issues with our download and with monitoring it down the road. So to that end, I want to also make mention that we will accept questions here at Prevention Action Alliance about these opportunities. However, we cannot provide any specific insight on whether your project proposal is a stout one. Fran and I would love to, but it's just not the way this goes. So please keep any future questions limited to what that looks like, limited to eligibility, structurally how you might need to submit this, but we cannot weigh in on whether or not your project proposal itself is a great one. We're sure it is, and we wish we had unlimited funds, but we can't answer those questions. That brings us pretty much to the end of the information we wanted to share with you today. I do want to give Fran an opportunity to just discuss some of our additional training opportunities that might be of support to you. Notably, we have a couple of opportunities in December that could be useful as you guys are thinking about, again, spring, about some of the opportunities that you might have for the PUSH4Prevention grant. Fran, would you mind just describing the ethics that's available as well as engaging using coalitions?
Why, of course, I'd be happy to talk about that. Nothing like being put on the last spot here. But we do have a really remarkable opportunity to, one, help keep your credential, your prevention credential, up to date, as well as to think about how to expand your membership around the coalition table. So on December 8th, which is the second Friday of the month, we will be offering an ethics training here at Prevention Action Alliance in the morning, so from 9 to noon. Krista Bennett will be leading this particular ethics training, and this is to look at, would count as renewal for those folks who have an OCPS or OCPC, and also count for anyone who is working on their OCPSA. So it's a great opportunity. There are discounts available for our SPECA members, so keep that in mind as well. And then in the afternoon, by popular demand, Krista and then Hiram Ellis, who is the director of our Ohio Youth-Led Prevention Network, will be talking about how to engage youth in the coalition. They presented this particular training at the Prevention First conference back in September, and it was very well received, and we've had requests to expand upon that, and so we certainly wanted to be responsive to that. So that is in the afternoon from 1 to 4, approximately. I'm sorry, I don't know those specific times. But again, there are continuing education credits attached to both of those. Both would serve you and your coalition well, so certainly share that with your coalition members.
Thank you very much, Fran. I have had a couple of questions come in. A question from in Northwest Ohio, we have, can coalition development grant be used for staffing? So the answer to that is yes, there is some eligibility for that. If you are applying to the larger mentoring and regional collaboration opportunity, you can itemize labor. However, it must be itemized, it must be explained, and there is also an opportunity for you to upload a resume in the documentation section. If you ask for staffing support and do not provide a resume, you will not be funded. So I just want to make that very clear. We are looking for the assurance that we have a stable staffing employee on site able to support the capacity. So thank you very much. That was a great question. had one additional question about if you need to become a SPECA member. Easy peasy. Just go onto our website and you can look at Prevention Action Alliance under Connect on our menu. The statewide prevention coalition associations listed. There's a link to the registration, and all of that is right there for you if you do have any questions. Our contact information is on screen now, so please feel free to just reach out and let us know. We're happy to make that happen. All right, well, thank you everyone for calling in today. We do greatly appreciate it. We wanted to just thank you again for everything that you're doing. We know that coalition work and community-driven work, whether you're new or you're established or you're part of a task force or you're just a concerned member of a local board, this work is not necessarily easy. So we appreciate your dedication, and we're just excited to be able to support you in it, and we look forward to getting your applications. One final question just came in, and it's a pretty darn important one. How many awards are available throughout the state? There are 10 available Ohio MAP project, awareness project stipends available. So that's $2,000 each, and there are 10 of those available for a total of $20,000. There are 2 mentoring and regional coordination grants available. So each of those are valued at $10,000, and there are 2 of those available. And in addition, the enhancing environmental strategies, there's 1 potential available award for $5,000. So I hope that helps a little bit. So we look forward to it. Get your ideas in. We really want to make sure we have some incredible things that we can support across the state. Thank you all so much for your time, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye-bye.